I am at a complete and utter loss for words, and this isn't just some faux moral outrage. I'm not that kind of person. If there's any new viewers tuning into this, because, again, I don't normally cover this kind of stuff, but of course everyone's talking about it to the point where this is a story in Newsweek now. Now, for those of you who are fortunate enough not to know about this situation, not to know about any of this, the person, the thing you are looking at is known as Christine Weston Chandler, more colloquially as Chris Chan, of course. He, she, whatever pronouns, I don't really think it matters at this point. I think it is probably the most appropriate terminology for someone of this degree. If you haven't heard the story, I will spare you the disgusting details. I'll just say very briefly. Accused of incest with with its mother. Now, I'll spare you the disgusting details. There's people who are much more informed about this. I'll admit my knowledge about this person is rather peripheral. Of course, I just know the stuff that people post about him. I don't actively seek the stuff out. I find it. I'll admit that one documentary series that has covered every bit of his life in meticulous detail is a guilty pleasure of mine, but that's beside the point. And what we have right here is, honestly, I think any civilization that produces somebody of this caliber does not deserve to exist. Now, that's not saying other civilizations, both in our era and in previous eras, haven't produced sick and depraved people. Of course, it's always been that way since the fall of man. But somebody of this exact caliber, and if you are still fortunate enough not to know who Chris Chan is, I will give you a very brief summary. Just an autistic overgrown child, of course, living on the handouts of the state welfare programs and of his now aged mother. And of course, he's in his it is in its late 30s at this point and has not matured since, I would say, age 12, if even. Obsessed with, again, children's entertainment, cartoons, video games. Not that there's anything wrong with video games in particular, but to just the point of sheer obsession this person has with it is, again, this is somebody who's not matured, and of course, living in complete delusion as you get to that when you get to that point. But my ultimate point is, I think it's a rather damning reflection on our civilization as a whole, and I would say that in particular the Anglosphere, because I don't even think in some places in Western Europe, as far as they've fallen, that you would get this again. I don't think this kind of thing would happen even in a place like Germany. No offense to any German audience members I might have out there, but point being is, what you look at right here is the combination of what societal breakdown does to you, what the breakdown, again, social order does to you, lack of, again, proper parenting, which can also be extrapolated to the social order, the advent of modern technology. Of course, a lot of the things that we know is because of the internet now. Again, for those of you unfamiliar, it has felt the need to upload every detail, every intimate, depraved detail of its life onto the internet, onto various places, even to this day, even up until this most recent arrest. And really, I mean, you could say that's a condemnation of technology, which of course I am more on the side of some sort of technological industrial deceleration, but that's aside the point. And to think that if, say, Christian was born 200 years earlier, may have been a slow farmhand, lived a normal, simple life, maybe would have gotten into some depravity of that day, maybe may have done some sick things within that area, maybe engaged in such acts with animals or an unwilling woman. But point being is, that's all speculation. Or maybe would have just been a slow dullard who worked a simple farm life and for, 65 to 70 years before just dying in their sleep one night. Could have been that. Or alternatively, born 100 years ago, maybe would have worked as a gas station attendant. That was kind of weird. That kind of just, you felt uncomfortable to be around, but you didn't think it was going to hurt anyone. Or even in the modern era, absence the influence of the internet, would probably be working somewhere like Goodwill or as a Walmart greeter. And again, that's not any condemnation of those two things. They're, again, sans living, but point being is, those are jobs for people who are of a slower mindset, of less mental aptitude. And again, I think regardless of what you think of those corporations, or regardless of what you think of that situation in general, they are fitting jobs for those people, and they allow them to live a normal, semi-independent, functional life on their own. But what we got was the combination of course, our modern social, our modern civilizational climate, combined with modern technology and everything else, and we get this case that we're looking at, where we get these allegations right in front of us. And frankly, I, in my personal opinion, think that any civilization that can allow something of this particular deviancy, and that's not saying, like, once again, to repeat, other civilizations, other countries, times in history didn't have these problems. But to the degree, to the magnitude, to the particular details, the fact that we have produced even one person like this and not implemented some sort of social control until this point, until there were actual allegations of a crime, the fact that somebody like this was allowed to go on like this for so long, I think is a massive condemnation of Western civilization, of the Anglosphere, of the modern United States. The fact that, again, this exists, and frankly, I think any civilization that can produce something like this doesn't deserve to continue. Now, of course, I will clarify, that is not a call to violence. That is not me saying, I'm not advocating you do any actions. Whatever you do, that's on you. Of course, don't go out and commit any violence. I will say that much. In fact, I advocate apathy. I say, just disengage from the system. Just honestly focus on yourself, focus on your community. There's not much else you can do. And watch the decline from afar. And maybe even get a few kicks out of it. That's what my entire show, The War Report's about, for those of you who may have stumbled on this and, again, not be familiar with this channel. Just geopolitical, civilizational analysis if you really want to go down that rabbit hole. But, I mean, beyond that, all I can really say is something like this, I think, should be, of course, punishable to the fullest extent of the law. I would say, of course, after trial and conviction, somebody like this would deserve the death penalty. But I do think the point we got to this in the first place, the fact that somebody like this could even exist in the first place, is a massive condemnation on all of us, on our civilization, and on the past, I would say, 150, 200 years. But that's beside the point. I doubt I will make any follow-ups to this or cover this kind of content regularly. I'll probably just default back to the War Report, which I'm glad you all enjoy. You guys seem to like that. The numbers have been doing better on that show. We've been going a little longer, but hey, what are you going to do? So, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you enjoy my other content, stick around. If you're expecting more of this, it's nice seeing you. Thank you for dropping by, but don't expect any more of this. And I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.